This is The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Roadmap, exclusively here on ASBN.com. I'm Lee Heisman, and every week we bring you some of the brightest entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business owners who are climbing the ladder, scaling their businesses, and thinking maybe one day how to exit stage left. Today, oh my goodness, we have a very special guest, the CEO of Savant Technologies, Matt Heather.
Good morning, Lee.
Hey, good morning, Matt. Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Well, I've known you now too long. Feels like dog years. Every year that we're together feels like another 7, of course. So proud to have you on the show. So much to share about the new brand, Savant Technologies. But before we get into that, I want to talk about how you got to where you are.
Sure.
It's been, you're real young. I know that it's been a short journey for you.
Sure.
I'm kidding. But talk about your first career before you jumped into the CEO role.
Sure, absolutely. So I did internships before internships were like a thing. And I got mine at the time because of nepotism. My stepfather had an ad agency and thought that would be a good way to spend my summer. And the reason I bring that up is because even though I studied finance in school, I had a job waiting for me because of the internships I had done. I had built some recognition
Now, are these
there.
paid internships?
They were.
Okay,
They
fair.
were actually paid, so I earned some college spending money at the time. So I had a job right into advertising and marketing, and I worked for one of the biggest firms, BBDO,
Yeah.
on automotive brands, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Mopar. And I was there for over 6 years. And that's where I cut my teeth on technology. Automotive brands have the biggest budget, so they'll be willing to try new things. Advert gaming was just coming out, which means brands trying to get into the video game segment, which we all know gaming is kind of big
Did
right
you say
now.
advert gaming?
That was the phrase that was coined. I don't think it really took, but at the time, that's the department
Did
that
you
I
make
was
it up?
in. I didn't make it up, but my title I made up, and it was Igniter, which is pretty cheesy, but that's a true story.
You know, I'm going to have to reference that forever now. Okay.
Gosh, please forget it.
That sounds like the lead of another type of movie, but that's besides the point. Go ahead, Matt.
Sure. After that, I moved to a company called ePrize, which is a digital promotions company, and I worked there for 6 years, and I was able to work on other brands besides just automotive. So CPG brands, retail brands, finance brands, and that sort of thing. And I did account management and sales with ePrize.
Wow, so you really ran the gamut of digging in and digging the ditches, doing the hard work.
I was trying to learn a lot of different verticals and also learn how to navigate through different organizations. And at the time, it was corporate, big business.
So right before, and we'll jump into a few topics, but right before you took this role as CEO, and we're going to get into the details of that, what was the position you were in before this?
I was VP of, client solutions at a company called Qualphone or Dialogue Direct. And that was a BPO, third-party logistics and supply chain company, which is a sexy way of saying warehousing, print, fulfillment, call center.
Wonderful. And so you enjoyed that job.
I liked it.
So this career path that we speak of here, getting to the CEO of this organization, and what's really funny for viewers that don't know, I was fortunate to create Savant nearly 15 years ago, sell the business, and when I left the organization, they had to fill the role. So you and I have had an intimate relationship with that transition. So it's really an awesome story, and it's been recently rebranded, and I think you've done an extraordinary job, taking over this position. But, a lot of people watching this are going to say, so this guy worked his job and then suddenly is now the CEO of a large technology firm, working with private equity every day. Look how easy it was for him, right? He just seems to walk into it. He's such a nice guy, so good at what he does. He hasn't had any challenges or struggles. Is that true?
Far from true. So for my 4 jobs before I got to here, I worked hard. And there's a quote from Gary Player, the harder you work, the luckier you get, and I kind of followed that path. However, I was really walking a tightrope. Even though I worked hard, I also played really hard, too hard, and that caught up to me. So I struggled with alcohol addiction. And thanks to family and friends, I went and got help. And that was something very hard because I couldn't imagine a world that I could step away from to take the appropriate amount of time, which ended up being 3 months away from a job that I had, a family that I had, but I needed that time to focus on myself.
So wait, you actually, did it destroy the current work you were doing? You were able to juggle both job and this, was it a secret that you kept from people?
It was a secret except for my wife, but FMLA saved my job placement, but really it changed things dramatically. When I came back, sure, I still had my job, but I wasn't into it. COVID happened, and that was a blessing. I really believe that the timing of this, even though it was maybe later in my life that I addressed it, It gave me the opportunity to rebuild the bridges with my family, stay home during COVID with my kids, rebuild true relationships with them instead of the surface thing that I had been creating in the past.
So for people out there that do struggle with things like this, and I love that you brought this up, and it's really very respected that you're open to talk about it to help others. What was the impetus for who got involved, and did you wake up one day and say, I need to get help, or did you rely on people to be involved to help you get through this?
I was bad enough to where I couldn't do it myself, so I needed to rely on them. I had an intervention, straightforward.
Was it from your family, your wife?
Yep, my wife, my best friend, my mom, my stepdad, and then countless others wrote letters that were involved in the intervention.
And my apologies for my ignorance in this. Yeah. Did you show up in a room and they were sitting there? How does an intervention happen?
Everyone shows up at your house, and as soon as they walk through the door, I said, F, I know what this is about. But I also knew every morning for the previous 6 months that I had a problem and I couldn't stop. And every morning I'd wake up, grab a couple of beers and be like, well, today's not the day. So this was a miracle. They literally saved my life.
Did you push back? You're such a nice gentleman in so many ways from the moment that I've met you. Was it difficult? Was it just, hey, we have an intervention and look at this. From the moment they came in, I suddenly am better in 90 days and life went on. Is that the case? And we don't have to go too far, but just to give a perspective.
I don't mind. I didn't plan on it, but I don't mind at all. I was surrounded by beer cans and McDonald's from the night before, having gone out. I'd slip out the back, go out to the bar, come home.
What was your McDonald's food of choice?
Double cheeseburger plain.
With fries?
With fries, and then a McChicken, slice of cheese.
Yes, okay, fair.
Terrible. I mean, it grosses me out just thinking about it now.
Delicious, but terrible for you, right?
Yeah,
how good are the fries? The fries.
My God, when they're cooked fresh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, fair.
For sure. But when they all addressed me and read all the letters, none of it really hit me until the very end when my wife read her letter. And I was in this mental state where I thought only the 6-foot diameter circle around me was what I was impacting. I thought I was still taking care of the kids. I was delusional. And when she read her letter to me at how much I was impacting her and the family, it cut through me like a knife, and I was done. I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's get on a plane. And that's what we did. I got on a plane right away.
Do you still have that letter?
She does, yeah. We have it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. So from there, you go through the treatment. You mentioned 90 days.
Yeah.
Was recovery easy to get back on path for work?
Recovery was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the most fulfilling. They took my phone, and I was with other people needing help, and I was in a professional track at the place I went to, Karen Renaissance, down in Boca, Florida. Highly recommend for anyone that would need it. And it was like going to school about yourself. I would actually recommend it for anyone to actually imagine taking 3 months off to only focus on yourself. All self-help stuff. And like I say, going to school, I had different classes, different therapy sessions. I could read what I want. I didn't have a phone. I played board games with my friends, built meaningful relationships. It was actually an incredible time in my life. Getting back into work was challenging because part of recovery is having a high sense of integrity, being honest with everyone. Because to be successful in recovery, you don't want to have anything weighing you down, which means you got to be overly honest. You got to apologize for things and mistakes that you make. You got to be honest about the mistakes you make so you don't have anything weighing you down on your shoulders that would make you want to forget or feel different.
Yes. I'm blown away. This is amazing. Your roadmap journey is really intriguing so far. So as I mentioned before, let's jump into your new role, which is a business that I was fortunate to be able to sell to the largest MSP purchaser or aggregator in the country, Evergreen, which I know is now Lyra and a few other organizations. But it was one of my multiple exits, and in the process of having to replace myself and my partner, I was so fortunate to meet you. Yeah. And you've already taken the baton and you've been running with it. So talk about that transition, what it's like being the CEO of a large MSP, managed service provider, but not a company that you grew from scratch. You had to come in and, I'm not going to say fill shoes, you had to put a brand new pair of shoes on and put your spin on things. Because I think the shoes and the attire you wear was always much better than mine. So you definitely want to put your own shoes on.
Different.
Yeah, very different and much nicer. Talk about this.
Sure. So I came from big business and corporate, but I managed entire portfolios of clients. So I managed big pieces, but I couldn't really make the impact that I was hoping to make, and that's why I made the switch. I came across Evergreen, and they're the ones who placed me and introduced me to you, and I owe you a ton of gratitude because I can't imagine many CEOs who get a transition with the founder. sometimes there'll be leadership changes and who knows what kind of resources they have. I had you who grew the company from nothing, and you were my mentor. And so I got those 3+ months of working very closely with you, and we built a fast friendship. So that was incredible. And I think I need to attribute a lot of a good jumping off point from you.
Your check will be waiting for you at the end of the show. So we've made it out to cash. So you're good.
Right. Starting was really hard. There are a few lessons that I needed to learn, and the biggest one that I still struggle with is you can't make everyone happy. And that's something that I had always sought to do.
Yeah, Mac, you do a really good job making everybody happy, and I know that's important to you.
Well, it's kind of you to say, because it doesn't always feel that way by any means. But there was a strong leadership team there already at Savant, and you built some great relationships with all of your current customers. So what's great about Evergreen is they're investing in companies that are on the up. They're not taking over distressed companies trying to slap lipstick on a pig. They're called Evergreen because they are obsessed with Warren Buffett's strategy of buying, never selling, investing, and keeping things decentralized. So yes, they are the largest holder of MSPs, managed service providers, but which 96, by the way, they're up to.
It's amazing.
But they keep them decentralized. So I have the autonomy to make the financial decisions that I want, the moves that I want. We will be Savant. We will always be Savant. And they give us some best practices, some shared services. Last week I was in Nashville with a couple of the groups and with all the other CEOs, my counterparts, sharing those best practices. So it's been quite an interesting world.
Well, so just recently, you did a brand change. The timing couldn't be any better. We've been trying to get you on the show for a year. I don't even know how long, a year or 2 years. And real quick, regarding Evergreen, a big shout out to Ramsey Sayoun, right? And you and I talk about Ramsey. I've befriended Ramsey for many years, and he was integral in making this. And I'm so thankful, and not only thankful, but happy for everything he's done for that organization.
Yeah, Ramsey's great. And then his co-founder, Jeff Totten, brilliant guy. I got to meet him a few times. And then Tim Burke, who also joined that leadership team. But these guys are absolutely brilliant and do everything that they've said they would do. I came in skeptical. Some of the last companies I was at had a different experience with private equity.
Jeff, I've met, and Tim, I'm very intimate with as well. These guys are rock stars. They know how to grow that business. And them leading the ship, you definitely have to work hard, but that they're captaining the ship all the way across the line.
And we feel it all the way down.
No question. So jump into taking over with staff. Give some key ingredients. You're now the CEO. When you step in, you're given the title. You're not given, you've earned this title because you were chosen for it, but to the staff, have you really earned anything? How did you work the past few years to establish that? What's been some key ingredients for coming in fresh and new to an organization and having to build the trust not only with the staff, but with the clients and establish yourself?
Unfortunately, I think time is one of the few ingredients that you need to build trust. So that's not something that it's gonna happen overnight. But I had to try to learn the people and build relationships with the individuals and try to learn the business, but ultimately I needed to rely on them. There's the trust but verify thing. I think sometimes you can lean too much into trusting if you just think it makes your life easier, but trust but verify, ask one question deeper. But I was blessed with some really good staff members that I spent time with and tried to learn what I could. But I'm not going to be the technical genius in the room. That's what these other guys were for. Yep. So I think eventually just by showing up, spending time with them, asking questions, that hopefully I've earned some of that trust.
So I did not call anybody from Savant, which I could have. I did not. But if I were to ask some of the key managers of Savant, what is the one thing that you would change about Matt Heather?
Oh, wow.
What would it be?
That is an incredible question. Probably they would suggest I get more sleep. I'm sure they don't appreciate emails in the middle of the night. I think that's something that I need to work on for my own health. The more I read about, and I look at you as this perfect specimen of health.
No, my gosh.
Lee, everybody meets you.
Yeah,
I think they modeled the Energizer Bunny literally after Lee Heisman.
Well, that's different. The Energizer Bunny may not be that healthy, so I definitely will take that title. But I'm trying to just stay around as long as I can. Of course. So it's the late night text. Do you not use an example of would you rather be stuck with Lee texting all the time or me? So life is relative, right?
We're definitely different leaders, but then we always speak incredibly highly and think of the days of yore when Lee was around, and I just have a different I guess approach.
How about growing the organization? Some people talk about growth by subtraction. You know, and there, we don't need to go into specifics, but as you were growing this and you took over, you realized, hey, there's some things we have to chop off at this organization, whether it be departments, people, or processes. So you've also grown it not just by addition, but also by taking the things that the business had before and getting rid of them. Talk about that.
Sure. You know, in technology, there are thousands of companies out there that offer different types of solutions. So over time, you may subscribe or onboard a bunch of different partners and vendors. There were over 50 at the time. Now we're under 30. So that was an easy decision. Also looked at the different teams and some of the people that were they on board with the new leadership and the direction we wanted to go. And we didn't go in cutting heads, but we did hold people accountable to what they wanted to, or to what our expectations were. And that was just by asking questions or setting the path of the direction we wanted to. And we saw a few individuals self-select their way out.
You know, I'll tell you, I look back at what you had done and how you did it, and I want to compliment you because as a business owner, and for business owners out there, when you're in the middle of the war, you might not see the forest through the trees. So I've had a firsthand view of how Savant got better after I left the organization by the things you did and the things that you made changes to that I would have never done on my own just because I was in the middle of it. Sure. Or was too scared to make decisions about price increases, too scared to make decisions that benefited the business financially, but as a business owner, too scared to make those choices. So I know I learned a lot about the decisions that Evergreen and even Tim, obviously, and now yourself have done to better the company, and I've taken note of all those things.
Yeah, well, you set an incredible path, and we're just trying to make it better. You were the salesperson for Savant and helped grow it like hockey stick type growth. Our first year, we focused on understanding, learning the business, seeing where we should be spending money. I didn't want to come in, change everything, change the branding. I waited till year 2 for that. And then since then, we've hired a new chief growth officer and a business development representative. So we're investing in that actual growth from new logos, not just taking care of our current customers.
So Matt, time flies when we're having fun.
Yeah.
I know we're wrapping up. If people need to get in touch with you, not
Sure.
for a multitude of things. Number one, your roadmap, your growth, the challenges you've overcome, which you were so open about today, which is awesome. And then also your tech firm, of course. How would people get in touch with you?
SavantATL.com, SAVANTATL.com.
How about you personally?
Matt at SavantATL.com.
That's perfect. Do you have a LinkedIn?
I do.
Excellent. Matt Heather on
Heather.
LinkedIn as
Yep.
well. I love that. And by the way, well done. You looked right at the camera. It's well done. Well done. Matt, great to see you today, first off.
You too, Lee.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. My gosh, Matt Heather, CEO of Savant Technologies, and you're doing a great job with it. Thank you so much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this show was as insightful for you as it was for me. Matt Heather, thank you so much for joining. We hope to see you again next week for another episode of The Roadmap.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.